Straight ahead on 12 News, park priorities. The city of Plymouth focuses on new green spaces for kids. But first, looking ahead to November, from a governor's race with local ties.
As I travel the state, people are really concerned about jobs.
To contested races at City Hall. 12 News starts right now. Hello, and thanks for joining us. The next 2 months will be key for political challengers hoping to get their message out.
We start with the Brooklyn Park mayoral race, where challenger Joyce Stevens has ground to make up against incumbent Jeff Lunde. During a day of low voter turnout, Lunde collected 60% of the votes. Stevens came in a distant second to advance to the general election. As Eric Nelson reports, both candidates are focused on three key issues in Brooklyn Park: diversity, jobs, and light rail.
Both Jeff Lunde and Joyce Stevens agree that Brooklyn Park has changed at warp speed and that the city needs to mirror its growing diversity.
We are more diverse than we were yesterday or tomorrow, and making sure that we are making City Hall reflect the community and making sure our policies are, more efficient.
We have a very unique opportunity to show how we lead the city that's very diverse, both racially and economically and culturally, together in a way that everyone can truly prosper.
You'll also hear both candidates harp on jobs, with each viewing the Highway 610 corridor as a potential gold mine.
Most of the concern is getting 610 developed properly, because we need a good financial base up there, and that'll help the future of the city.
Light rail is another topic that these candidates are in support of.
We have some of the best potential for new business development, not just because of the highway infrastructure, but the promise of Botano, light rail transit in the future, certainly the size of our city, the diversity of our city.
We need to decide as a community, do we want it or not? The route is picked. I know people like to say it'll go somewhere else, it won't. So what we need to decide is in the city or not in the city.
It's time for us to start looking like that, and part of that means building transit infrastructure that helps people lead a transit-oriented life and really help to reduce our dependency on highways, and not just that, but take advantage of the economic development that will come along with that.
In Brooklyn Park, I'm Eric Nelson, Channel 12 News.
A native from Liberia will challenge the incumbent mayor in Brooklyn Center. Mike Elliott has lived in Brooklyn Center with his family over the past 2 decades. Elliott advances to face Tim Wilson, who received more than half of the votes during the primary. Wilson has been the mayor of Brooklyn Center since 2007. The race for governor in Minnesota is officially heating up.
Plymouth resident and former state representative and county commissioner Jeff Johnson won the Republican primary with 30% of the vote. State Representative Kurt Zellers of Maple Grove finished second. Johnson now squares off against DFL incumbent Mark Dayton. Reporter Carissa Wyant has more on the race and the issues we expect to hear a lot more about leading into November.
It was a very positive 10-week campaign, and I think that the Republicans in Minnesota responded to my message that we need a conservative who's actually electable.
After capturing the Republican nomination for governor, Jeff Johnson says he has a strategy going forward.
Go out there and bring in independent votes who can share a vision that will inspire not just Republicans but non-Republicans in the state.
Heading into a fall showdown against Democratic Governor Mark Dayton, Johnson is already trying to set himself apart.
We're not just going to fund programs because it makes us feel good. We're going to fund programs because they can prove that they're actually changing people's lives the way we say we want to. And that's just not happening in government right now.
DFL leaders, meanwhile, use the Republican primary to point out that the current path is the best direction for Minnesota.
The contrast between both parties couldn't be any more stark or clear in this upcoming election. One party wants to move us backwards and erase the progress we've made over these last few years. The other party wants to continue down the road to progress.
Both parties also began laying out their roadmap of how they envision progress being made.
Talk about education reform a lot, in particular the achievement gap, the disparity in graduation rates between white students and students of color in Minnesota. It's the worst in the country in Minnesota.
The GOP, under Jeff Johnson's leadership as a standard bearer, wants to take us back to the days when people were kicked off of their health insurance because of pre-existing conditions.
In the months to come, both candidates say that they're going to focus on fundraising and drawing contrasts between one another. One point that both Democrats and Republicans did agree on is potentially moving the primary to earlier. Only about 200,000 Minnesotans showed up last night to vote. In St. Paul, Carissa Wyant, 12 News.
And Krista tells us leaders from both parties say they would potentially support moving the primary elections from August to June in hopes of getting a better voter turnout. In other news, the city of Plymouth is beefing up its parks and play areas.
Reporter Sonia Goen shows us why there is a need for new play space.
This used to be a fairway of a golf course.
The old Hampton Hills golf course has gotten a major makeover.
Hi.
It was remodeled into Fairway Greens Park, which opened up this spring.
It's nice and big. Whee!
Christina Sowers and her two little buddies, Ingrid and Nash, have made this their favorite fun time destination.
We come here at least twice or 3 times a week.
And who wouldn't want to play in the park?
They have the basketball hoops, the sandbox, the swings. I love it.
We live in another neighborhood, but it's a close walk here.
Melissa and her son Logan also like coming to the new park.
We like that this park has a baby swing, since he can't fit in the big kids swing yet.
Fairway Greens also has trails and a picnic area.
We enjoy our walk. He can have a little snack, a little picnic a while later.
Yay.
This park also has something none of the other city parks have.
Yeah, it's got a little golf course.
A putting green.
We'll have to work on his swing.
Because it was a golf course, we wanted to keep that theme, and so we put in a putting green.
As the number of housing developments increase in Plymouth, officials are swinging into action to build new parks and playgrounds.
I think Plymouth has done a good job of thinking about that.
Prairie Ponds is the latest park in progress. It used to be an old field. When it's completed, it will have playground equipment, trails, and a garden.
So we're excited to see that go up.
In Plymouth, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
The city of Plymouth will host an open house at Fairway Greens Park on August 25th. Meanwhile, Prairie Ponds Park is expected to be complete next spring. I knew Sonia was just a kid at heart,
Yes,
too.
exactly.
Coming up, getting a jump start on saving for college. We'll look at one option administered by the state.
And then a little bit later in sports, meet a Plymouth man getting ready for a busy fall of Friday night football. That's in this week's Official Business.
But first, more local results from primary election day. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the thought of how much money it will take to fund a college education. In this week's Money Savers Report, Alexandra talks about getting started with college savings through Minnesota's 529 plan.
If you are saving for your child's college education through Minnesota's 529 College Savings Plan, there are some changes that have gone into effect this week that might make it a little easier to save some money. And we have Robert Stern joining us, the program director. Robert, tell us what are the most important changes that people should be aware of?
Yeah, we have 3 really exciting changes. First off, our program management fees are being cut by more than 50%. So we will be one of the top 5 most cost-effective plans in the country. So that's really exciting. Secondly, we're adding more investment options. We used to have 7, now we're going to have 11, more choice for people. So that's great. And our most popular option, our age-based option, we are adding 3 glide paths just to kind of smooth out returns for people. So really exciting.
And when you talk about more account options, tell us how would a family go about deciding what option suits them best?
Right. Well, the beauty of the 529 plan is it's really flexible. So everybody's situation is different. I would say just get the account open. That's the most important thing. You can open it with $25. So people can do that. Once you have the account open, then you can kind of figure out what works best for you. It's also important to note you can use the money anywhere, not just in Minnesota, any accredited school, which is really good. And also you don't, if you move, if you leave Minnesota, the account can follow you.
if people are interested in learning how to get started, and I think the point we talked about earlier is it's never too late to get started, even if you have a child, say, in high school right now. But tell us, you're going to have a presence at the State Fair. How might people get some more information?
Absolutely. Well, first off, to your point, every dollar that you save is one less dollar you have to borrow. So it is important to get the account open. You can just go to mnsaves.org. That's our website. You can call 1-877-338-4646. Talk to a specialist if you want. Or if you're at the State Fair, go to the Education Building, find the Minnesota Office of Higher Ed booth. You might be able to win $200. But it is important to get going because you need time to build that account. And the more time that you have, the more the dollars can grow.
Interesting topic, good tips. Thanks so much, Robert Stern.
My pleasure.
For
Thanks for having me.
Mike, back to you.
All right, thanks. Coming up, summer camp where kids play the role of survivor. First in sports, the first of our local prep football team previews. John Jacobson gets us ready for kickoff when we come back. There's about a dozen local high school football teams in our coverage area, and John has really good insight into them. And we're gonna take a look at take a look at them for the next few days.
Yeah, one a day until the season starts, a couple weeks from Thursday. Having a lot of talented athletes hasn't always guaranteed the Hopkins Royals success on the football field, but the team is hoping a new mindset will change that this upcoming season. Here's Jason Malone with the first of our training camp reports.
Harry Momo was Hopkins' starting running back last season, but this fall, the senior will play full-time on defense.
It's kind of a hybrid position, but more like a strong safety type spot. You know, he's a guy that has the speed to cover people out in the flats and also has the strength to put some pressure on the quarterback and blitz sometimes also. So there'll be times when he blitzes and is a run stopper in the blitz, but there are also times when he'll drop back and cover.
Momo embodies the attitude Hopkins wants to play with: unselfish, team first, and every player using his talent to make those around him better.
I think it's all mindset. You know, every year we talk about we're a family and, you know, we're one. And in years past it's kind of been brushed off, but I think this year people really see us as a family. You know, our whole defense is one unit. Like in years past, we've had guys here, guys there who can play, but this year our whole defense is a unit. I think we got some real good players, and we really understand this year that we can be a family and we can do some big things.
People are doubting us, saying we're not a good team, saying that we don't play together, that we're a bunch of individuals, but like we can do it, definitely, for sure.
Even without Momo in the backfield, the Royals should be pretty deep at running back, with Jamichael Ellis, Deion Campbell, and D.T. Williams all getting their share of touches. At quarterback, senior Tyler Lee and junior Oscar Johnson are competing for the starting job. Last season, both went down with injuries. In fact, the Royals went through 5 quarterbacks in 2013.
Our offense is predicated on the quarterback doing a lot of things. You know, here at Hopkins, what we're blessed with is a lot of good team speed, and we try to spread people out and utilize our team speed that way, and you need a good quarterback to do that. So, you know, when we started getting into our 3rd and 4th and 5th string guy last year, it made it pretty difficult for us. You know, I think the kids were resilient and gave a great effort, but the outcomes weren't what we were hoping for.
Hopkins is eager to absolve itself of last year's losing record, and the Royals can start that process before most teams. They open the season with a 0-week game on August 22nd. Jason Malillo, 12 Sports.
And that first game for the Royals will be at home against Superior High School of Wisconsin. Hopkins was 2-7 last season. 12 starters in all return for the Royals. This is John Den Hartog's 11th season as head coach. As football season begins, the guy in our next story will be pretty busy. Here's Jay Wilcox with this week's official business.
This week on Official Business, we meet a Crystal native who's kept order on high school and college football fields in the area for the past quarter century.
Yeah, I heard it. Yep, yeah, we'll watch. Don't worry.
Tony Dooher's a fixture in stripes on the sidelines in Minnesota and even neighboring states.
I've been reffing for about 28 years. I started at North Hennepin. I took a class on officiating, and then I started doing lower level football in New Hope. Currently, I'm reffing high school and college. First down, easy, first down, he's down!
Dooher most often works a high school game Friday and a college game in the Northern Sun Conference Saturday, which can be a little tricky at times.
We have to go all the way to Bismarck, so sometimes we might have to give up a Friday night game or else travel at 3 in the morning and take turns driving. So it gets to be a little hectic, but it's not too bad. Most of the schools are within 6 hours, so it's not too bad. Easy now, it's over!
Plymouth resident Dooher has worked prep bowls in the past. He's not the guy you'll see making the penalty calls, though.
I'm usually on the line of scrimmage, either a line judge or a head linesman. I do line judge in college and head linesman in high school, so I've done that. I also have refereed a few games, but usually right on the line of scrimmage. That way I'm with the coaches, and that's a very comfortable spot for me.
Seen here working a semi-pro game, his work starts even before the high school season.
I'll go to different schools, Benilde, Armstrong, White Bear Lake, and I'll talk to the players and the coaches in the preseason and tell them what we're looking for. And we're not the evil people in black and white stripes. We're there to help, and we're giving something back to the game. So definitely the rapport with the coaches is really good.
They say a good night for an official is one where you go unnoticed. Tony Dooher sums it up nicely.
You know, we just try to stay out of the mix. You don't try to show them how smart you are. Just try to manage the game, make sure everybody stays healthy, and enjoy your evening.
For official business, Jay Wilcox, 12 Sports.
Easy now, fellas. That's it. Here you go. Thank you.
Tony's also part of the college crew that has helped the Vikings by officiating some training camp practices. He's also a high school basketball referee, so he keeps busy and just getting into his busy time.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, John. Still ahead, getting lost in the woods.
We head to summer camp next to get us back on the right track.
A summer camp at Eastman Nature Center that might increase your chance of survival in the wild.
Yeah, would you know what to do if you were lost in the woods? This Three Rivers camp teaches kids how to navigate the forest, make a campfire, and create an emergency shelter. But it's not all serious stuff. At the end of the week, they'll test their survival skills with a camouflage competition.
Basically, we're going to have buckets of sand, buckets of mud, and buckets of clay. And you start out by rubbing sand all over your body to get rid of your oily sheen. You cover yourself in charcoal to break up your body, almost like tiger stripes. And then we're going to go to our pond, and we're basically going to have a mud fight where we cover each other in mud and clay.
A perfect way to spend a summer day if you're between the ages of 9 and 14. The kids are going to love it. Summer's not over yet, though, and Three Rivers Parks does have camps still available for kids. So this is as much about team building as it is about learning life-saving skills, but you never know. You might learn something that could help somewhere down the line. Yeah.
And you hear that kind of pitch, and I want to go, right?
Yeah, and then they all get hosed off with a big hose. That's going to
right.
be great. That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone.
Community Corner is coming up next. We'll see you back here at 4 o'clock.